Hello, everybody, and welcome to Every Day's a Train Wreck. I'm your conductor. That's my new title from today. Marley Major, and I am so excited about every episode, but especially about this one. And I'm going to front load this by saying that this person is one of my closest friends. And the reason I say that I front load that is because my big fear always is that afterwards I'm going to hear like word on the street is that the person is like, she is not my closest, like one of my closest friends. What is she think? So to me, she's one of my closest friends. To her, I might be just that, the train wreck conductor. But anyway, I want to introduce you to Shelby Crawford, one of the most significant people in my life for about a million reasons. But Shelby has been there for, as we kind of were preparing for this podcast, for more shenanigans than I can even imagine. I mean, the planes, trains, and automobiles that have been involved with Shelby and my trips is truly mind-boggling. Welcome, Miss Shelby Crawford, realtor extraordinaire and new venture girl. She's going to tell us all about that. And also married to a hot husband, which seems like the theme on these podcasts these days. So Shelby, say hello to your new tribe.
Hello.
All right. So I call Shelby Sparkle Pants for so many reasons. She has many, many gifts. Shelby, how would you describe yourself to the audience so that they could get the picture that you would like them to get, as opposed to the picture that I would paint, which is all tomfoolery?
I am not good at describing myself. And if you hear that ruckus in the back,
Yeah.
It's my amazing dog, Mackie, chewing up box.
We can segue to that soon because Mackie was fortunately on the trip to when I decided to get Rooster at whatever, 2 months old. Rooster is my Great Pyrenees, who's now the size of 4 people. And that's, maybe we'll get into that later. I'm not really sure. But Shelby basically had to come and rescue me because I flew up to Seattle to get this dog. Never had a dog. And the dog sat on my lap and barfed the whole trip down. And Shelby said, you can't do this on your own, and flew up and met me.
And I went last minute on a whim with you because I think every single trip I've been with you on has been totally last minute.
Actually, that's a great segue. And let's just say pretty much every trip is, I don't think this is a good idea. No, you can't do this. No, you shouldn't do this alone. And so Mackie in the background, what I would love right now is Mackie actually to jump up and bark and say hello. Yeah. Oh, my goodness. We're going to get a true performance. Okay, Shelby, you guys who are listening via audio cannot see Shelby in her sparkly top, nor can you see that my top says no glitter, no party, but it's very appropriate. Oh, the baby. Hello, Mackie. You remember Second Mama? I love Mackie. Mackie has a lot of fans. This whole podcast could be about Mackie. So Mackie is who accompanied Shelby when we went up to get Rooster, but we're going to pause on Rooster and we are going to talk about literally a train ride that started as a result of the Cinco de Mayo text dumping. We are going to have a catalog of fake names. Obviously, as this podcast is developing, one thing I'm learning is we can't really name names. So Cinco de Mayo text dumper, we're going to call him Tito, okay? Those near and dear to us in Pasadena could figure out why, but we're going to call him Tito. So Tito, I get text dump on Cinco de Mayo. Shelby, who is...
I was abandoned.
You were abandoned.
My boyfriend went to the Hamptons.
Martha's Vineyard. Okay, so this is even better. So hot husband was at the time hot boyfriend, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, quite frankly, living on the edge as far as I was concerned, because as long as the girl didn't have a ring on her finger, I was like, this is not a good situation, sir, but whatever. So he decides to go to Martha's Vineyard with his own clown club. And that's a whole other podcast about that clown club. Yeah. And so, Shelby, we can come up with a name for him, or if you're okay, we can use his real name. But he made a very stupid move, in my opinion. And went up to Martha's Vineyard. You were like, whatever. Tito had just text dumped me on Cinco de Mayo. I am devastated. Now, you and I at this point know each other kind of peripherally. I mean, the deal is that Shelby's husband and I sort of in business together with a project, and So I've known her husband for, I hate to say it, probably 30 years. And
Which is how you knew his real age and I didn't.
unfortunately, I did out. The gentleman is slightly older. By no means does he have the get off my lawn vibe of some people that we know, one dangerous. But so he is very young at heart. But I knew his real age, thought, of course, you did. I didn't realize that was a covert op. He is significantly older. Shelby can say what she wants when I finally give her the microphone. But she's just the girlfriend at this point. He decides to go to Martha's Vineyard. He and I have known each other for a million years. She tells a story that makes me cringe, but I'm going to let her tell it, which is, kind of how she met me, which was I was, coming up to the table. And because, they're all in the restaurant business, coming up to the table, always with the crisis, always with a new potential husband on board. Shelby thought, this girl's annoying, but whatever. Until the day that her boyfriend went to Martha's Vineyard, Tito dumped me, and now we have something in common. Not something in common, she hadn't been dumped, but now we were both fired up about the boys in our lives. And I said, Shelby, could you get on the train to Montecito? Is that fairly accurate, Shelby? Or would you like to give your version?
We didn't really know each other. You were just the girl who would come over and say like 911 emergency during dates that I would be having, romantic dates I would be having with Greg.
Can you imagine me showing up to anybody's romantic date? I mean, if that isn't, the vajay would go dry right there. I don't know. And the wizard, there'd be not enough blue pills on the planet to resuscitate after a visit from me. But anyway, keep going.
So we were both heartbroken, and we ended up sitting next to each other
at the Arroyo Chop House on Arroyo Boulevard in Pasadena. Yeah, might as well promote everybody under the sun here. Yeah, hello, Pasadena.
We happened to just be sitting there together. We started chatting, and then you said, "I'm going on a trip to Montecito on a train tomorrow. Why don't you go with me?" And
now pause. Because when I say that, the only reason I say pause is it's important for people to know that when I say I'm going on a trip tomorrow to Montecito, that was decided as the words I'm are coming out of my mouth. Okay, so I don't want anybody to think that I had literally been dumped like 10 minutes before. So I don't want anybody to think that I had tickets I didn't have jack. Okay, so when I say I'm going on, that was more just to have her think I wasn't as whacked as she might think, and that I actually, really had this planned and wasn't just taking a new friend and going to butcher her in a closet. So keep going.
So you said, if you want to go, just book your ticket on Amtrak and meet me at the station. So I think I decided like late that night. You said,
meet me.
Are you going? And I said, okay, yes. And so I met you at the station. We hopped on the train, and then we ended up in Funktown. You wanted to go to Funktown.
Yeah. And okay, pause, because I had heard about Funktown being this controversial part of Santa Barbara that sounded, quite frankly, fabulous to me, but that a lot of the locals were upset that now it was this very hip place and they were turning this industrial section. So I was like, let's go to Funktown. And quite frankly, I think this podcast title should be called Meet Me at the Station, but that's for the marketing department. Okay, so keep going. So we go to Funktown and
we went antique shopping in all those little thrift stores. And then on our way out, I think you bought some crystals or something.
I'm sure I did.
On the way out, we saw sparkle dust.
Also known as glitter, everybody.
Glitter.
So, but in Funktown and in Montecito, glitter from the 99-cent store is known as sparkle dust for $99.99. Okay, but keep going.
It's also what I nicknamed my daughter's ex-boyfriend, too.
Sparkle dust or Funktown?
Mm-hmm. No, sparkle dust.
Okay.
So we bought the sparkle dust. Then we went to the Four Seasons.
Yes. Okay, so that's the other part, is that one thing you do need to know is that when I'm upset with a man, and certainly when Shelby's upset with a man, it is not a Howard Johnson experience. So we went to the fabulous Biltmore Hotel. Ty Warren, please reopen that so we can continue our shenanigans. And yeah, so we were booked at the Four Seasons, kind of return ticket unknown. Okay.
Yeah. And then we wanted to go out, and the closest place, look what I happen to have.
Oh, Lord, everybody.
It's
She just showed a cocktail, what is it called? The cocktail guard,
a poster.
a coaster for one of our favorite places on the planet, Lucky's. And I have no financial incentive whatsoever for Lucky's, but I would love to. Because if you are trolling or if you are looking for a significant other, I'd like to say Lucky's is the place. Lucky's might as well be hotman.com with money and a cowboy hat. Okay, so that's not why we went there, but it was close. And so Shelby and I and our broken hearts and our glitter kind of rolled in.
We tried to cheer ourselves up. We were forcing fun and we threw the glitter in the air and we doused ourselves with the glitter. Then we went to Lucky's and we were just feeling like sad little girls, mopey dopey. And we just had all these like men.
We were men magnets. Now, when she says we, I would also like to jump in here and say, as usual, okay? Every time I go anywhere with Shelby, and this has been for, I didn't even know how, 10 years or whatever, how long we've been friends now. It is Shelby is the magnet. Okay, so I want you to think of it as like whatever the like skinny, beautiful one is, and then the little like side card, that would be me. So Shelby's the magnet. Okay, so they are just wooing and gooing. And then it's like, oh, there's her. But they know they have to deal with me, right? Because I'm the noisy one and she's just going to sit there and giggle and bat her eyelashes. So they got to deal with me, and it is what it is. But, you know, people fawning over us is not the case. They're fawning over her. Anyway, keep going.
Yeah, they just kept coming and coming like a rotating door to talk to us. And then you...
God help me. Okay, yeah.
Well, you found a friend and went... somewhere, but it was innocent, I think.
Yes, it was innocent. It was 100% innocent. Yes, I was.
But you had the keys to the room, so I had to be in the bar at the Four Seasons for you. And because I think it was even drizzling. Remember, on our walk, it was drizzling. We kept seeing little animals and signs crossing.
There were, because now the other thing you have to know is that every time Shelby and I are together, because she's very psychic and she'll tell you the appropriate words. Maybe psychic isn't the right word, I think. But she does the Akashic record. She's a medium, all these things. So every time Shelby and I are together, something like an octopus will wash up on the beach, you know? And then I Google symbolism of octopus on beach. Or a bird will fly in and it's like symbolism of bird. So you have to understand that every time something happens that is even remotely out of the ordinary, I Google symbolism up. So we got a lot of symbolism of... the rain is drizzling. Now, mind you, just to cheer myself up, because Shelby probably thought it was annoying, but she went along with it, was that with the sparkle dust, and my whole thing was every time we go through a doorway, I'm just going to throw the dust, right? So that I was trying to change my experience with life, okay? So, you know, we're covered in dust. It's rain. It's drizzling. The octopi are probably dead on the beach. And now we're at the bar. Right now, I can't wait to see how far you're going to go with describing this story. So
probably not very far.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
There were a couple of characters there.
There sure were.
So
yes, there sure were. And then the alchemy, let's just say that the chemistry was palpable. Okay.
Yeah. Well, things were happening that we weren't even aware of. Wizards were showing up.
Wizards were showing up. That's another, we're going to have to put that in the lexicon language, the definition of a wizard, because that comes up regularly. And what we decided is you guys are going to need to know all kinds of players. We're going to give a vocabulary, but just to recap a few names that so far in these podcasts we've discussed Tito. That's the Cinco de Mayo text dumper. We have discussed Juan Dangerous in the past. We'll hear more about him. Today, we're going to also introduce a couple new characters, Tiny Dancer and Sparrow. Okay, so, but let's keep going. But let's continue at the beautiful bar at the Biltmore. So, yes.
Well, eventually you came in and sat down next to me. These guys would not let us leave. But the one funny one who I'm now friends with and found out the same. What?
This wasn't Z, was it?
No, we met him at Lucky's and then we saw him the next day.
Got it. Okay, keep going.
But this person, he has the same job as me, I found out because we became Facebook friends much later. But
Just in case the boyfriend doesn't come back from Martha's Vineyard, we got us a backup. Okay, keep going.
So we're just sitting there talking, you and me, and everyone's acting. And we look over and he was exposing himself. So
yeah, we have had, in fact, very recently, a gentleman exposing himself to us, as you recall, on the Florida beach, right?
Oh my gosh, I forgot about
this
that.
whole thing comes full circle. So I'm not sure what it is, but I just want you to know that that wizard is attracted to exposing itself to Shelby. Anyway, because by the way, there's been no exposure ever other than those two, except for me. But so this gets a little too far even for a 5-star. Shelby and I decide it's probably time to pack up our glitter and call it a night, right?
Mm-hmm.
We tuck ourselves into our 9,000 count sheet bed. I believe that night was the first time you realized not only do I talk and scream in my sleep, most of the time it's in terrifying. Spanish. Yeah. Okay. So now keep going.
Okay. So yeah, you were screaming, you were
fighting. I'm usually fighting in my dreams. Mm-hmm.
It sounded like you were organizing a big party and you were screaming at people. You were very, very angry.
Yeah.
But this last trip I had with you, you were much calmer. You weren't as angry, but you still talk in your sleep and direct people. And
I do direct all night long. I think that's I try to get them to do what I can while I'm sleeping. So something keeps happening. Yeah. Okay. Keep going.
But I didn't get to sleep in the same room with you on the sweepstakes trip.
So we've got a couple other trips we should talk about. Do we want to, at this point, introduce Sparrow and the Tesla to nowhere? Because we made it back from Montecito. Tito and I end up getting back together a couple times. That story for way more podcasts. Shelby ends up marrying the hot, so we can now call him hot husband instead of hot boyfriend. They ride into the sunset. Of course, right before we get on this thing, he happens to send her like 5 dozen red roses with the smoochy pants card. I was like, thank you so much. As I've just fallen off my horse and I'm in a back brace, Shelby is surrounded with red roses.
Okay, so are we at Sparrow?
Yeah, I think we jump in. Fast forward, we continue to be friends. She accepts my Facebook friend request. She's like, the girl is weird, but whatever. Now fast forward, I am barely past text dumping, right? I would say it. But I start dating a gentleman that we're going to call Sparrow.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, so Sparrow, he's special on a lot of levels. But Sparrow decides, okay, so now
we are going to
the solar eclipse in Sun Valley, Idaho.
Me and Greggle. We'll call him Greggle because he knows every fact in the world.
Can't we call him Snagglepuss? Okay.
Oh, Snagglepuss is better.
Okay, let's call him Snagglepuss. Okay, so Snagglepuss Snaggler for short. Okay, so Snagglepuss is Shelby's husband. We are using your real name for this podcast. Is that correct? You are Shelby?
Right, I am, yes.
You're Shelby or Shelby Rose? Okay.
Yeah.
So Snagglepuss, by now you two are still together. You and Snagglepuss are very well planned and organized and are going to see the eclipse in Sun Valley. I've just come back from Honduras with Sparrow, and all of a sudden we want to go to see the eclipse. Well, guess what? We couldn't get a flight, et cetera, et cetera. So is there anything you want to say to that part of it before?
Well, you had told us very last minute that you were coming. It was like, okay, we're coming. And we're going to drive because Sparrow had a brand new. Can we say what it was?
It was a brand new Tesla, and I'm an Elon Musk fan, but on this trip in the early days I was not. And my thing when I saying driving, because how long does it take to get to Sun Valley when you drive from Southern California?
12, 14 hours, I think.
No, okay, it's 12 is kind of the normal thing. I mean, right? I can do it in 12. Reason
you were excited about driving because you had all this work to do, and you said, I'll be able to do it on the road trip. So
I'm all in with the road trip component. However, I'm not all in with the Tesla component. Here's why. At the time, going from Southern California, we were going to drive from Southern California. We're going to pass through Nevada. Nevada is not, at this time, particularly electric vehicle friendly. So they don't exactly have stops everywhere. So if you have an electric vehicle, you got to have these stops. And in the old days, with the horse and buggy, you had to stop and charge and do all this other stuff. Sparrow decides this is a great idea to take this car. And I said, we got a total of 4 cars. I know, first world problems. 4 cars between us. Why do we have to take this one? You've never even taken it out of your garage, barely. Why do we have to take this to Sun Valley? Nope, he's going to map it out. Okay, so long story short, not only am I supposed to get this work done, we set off in the Tesla and arrived.
An overnight drive, wasn't it?
We arrived 22 hours later in the middle of the night, basically at 12:30 at night. And this trip involved first of all, the speed limit is like the posted speed limit's like 75. Okay, so everybody's going 85, no problem.
Did you get a low battery signal?
However, we could not go above 53 freaking flipping miles an hour, because then guess what? We wouldn't make it from one station to the next. And by the way, there is no Wi-Fi in between the stations. There are long roads, dark, straight. Stormy, straight. I'm listening to the CD or whatever at that point, redo of Hamilton about 9,000 times over and over. I'm literally singing Hamilton. At that point, I just wish the guillotine were part of everyday life, because I was ready to check out. And we have to go 53 miles an hour. And then, oh, by the way, when we stop, we have to stop for an hour and a half to charge this stupid freaking car.
In the middle of nowhere.
Literally in the middle of nowhere. And so now I have no signal. I can't 911. I'm like, this is so not safe. And as you guys are probably figuring out from previous podcasts here, I'm not exactly like the safety monitor, but there are certain things that are, I was like, what if this battery just is out? And it's not exactly like OnStar at that point where you could just call and they'd come get you. So we are really 53 miles an hour. I'm watching these cars zoom by. I'm listening to Hamilton. It was not good. And then
it was a rough ride.
It was thank you. That was a very rough ride. So then we get there and it's like 12:30 at night, give or take. And I'm so upset because at this point, now Sparrow is friends with Snagglepuss and Shelby at this point. But at that point, it was my connection. And I'm just feeling horrible that these are my guests and business associates, etc. I mean, these are our hosts and our business associates, and I'm showing up in the middle of the night, and they're, of course, waiting for us. I mean, it was the hottest mess. I show up, I think you guys were like, hey, do you want a drink? I was like, hell no. I went in my room and burst into tears.
And we had no idea that you had that interesting ride. We knew you had to slow down and you were having battery issues or whatever you call it, but we had no idea that there was friction. That's
right. That's because that's also the benefit of no Wi-Fi, et cetera. And somebody right next to you is I couldn't communicate that there was friction, although 22 hours should have said it all. And by the way, I think a 2-hour trip to Palm Desert is too long. Okay. So you can imagine that. And then you add the Hamilton soundtrack, perhaps our audio team could play that in the background on tape, was just mind-blowing. Okay.
So we're one day away from the solar eclipse. We're trying to be the best tour guides and take you on bike rides and out to lunch. And you did not seem happy.
Shocker.
But Sparrow was having a great time and laughing, and everything was really fun. And I didn't notice that you two were not talking, like at all, not one interaction. So we did the solar eclipse, which was magical and amazing and so fun, so unforgettable. But you're still like not talking. And I really didn't take note of that.
Shocking, considering that I never freaking shut up. But keep going.
But then you took me downstairs and you said, this is not good. This is really not good. And you told me the whole story. You're not talking. It's not like a lot of friction. And so next day, I was up in the loft doing work and I could hear you guys perfectly clear because it's like a 3-story tight little condo and you can hear everything.
Thank God, because I'm sure if Sparrow listens to this, which we hope he doesn't, but if he does listen to this for the record, let the record reflect that there was a witness to all of this. So this is not me making up some garbage. Okay, keep going.
So I'm just up there working and I hear, my plans are to leave in the morning around 4. And you're like, okay, great, I'll be packed.
Because at this point, I'm fine to
Actually-
cut the trip short, right? I'm like, okay, fine. I
Yeah.
get it. The event is done. We've seen the eclipse, whatever. We can get into what that's supposed to bring up in life, solar eclipses. And I'm like, okay, fine. I mean, we're not happy, but I'm like, that's great. The sooner I can get out of here, the better.
Yeah. So you're like, okay, I'll be packed, I'll be ready. And then I hear, actually, I think it's better if I just go by myself.
Now, this is Sparrow.
You're like, why? No, I want to go. Actually, I'm just going to do this by myself. And I looked up tickets, and there's one flight out tomorrow night.
With
And
one
I think you should book
ticket.
it.
No, it was Thursday night. Aren't we like at Monday night or something right now?
I
Or
don't
Monday
remember
morning?
days like that.
Put it this way. It was like he was going to go it was like whatever morning we were on, he was going to go the next morning, like in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure it was I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it
It's
was.
a very small airport. There aren't many flights going in and out, and
Right.
it is what it is.
So I think it was Monday morning. He's telling me this. I'm pretty sure. I think he was going to go in the middle of the night, Monday night, or very early Tuesday morning, and said, "Hey, listen, I have a flight. There's one ticket, one flight, and it goes like Thursday
It was
night.
like
I think
2 days away. I think.
Yeah. The point is, we were supposed to be out of Shelby and Snagglepuss's hair for their romance to continue well before this ticket. Okay. So, anyway, he insists he's going on my own, and there's one ticket. Now you pick it up.
So he leaves at 4 a.m. Well, you actually, okay, step back. You were like, what? Why? Like, I want to go. And he was very adamant, and then ended up leaving the next morning very early on his way.
Cheerful as ever, by the way. He was just
so
cheerful.
so sweet. He was a wonderful guest.
Okay. You know what? That might be too much. Okay. Keep going. A bridge too far. But anyway,
So
I wouldn't
you're
consider him a
stuck
wonderful
there with
guest.
us. You're just stuck there with us in this small 1,500 square foot condo.
Again, brokenhearted for different
Very
reasons.
brokenhearted. But you found your way into the dark web. Remember, you were so
yes.
happy about that. That was the one silver lining.
Was that okay? Now, when she says, let's just clarify, we're not talking about child porn here. I'm talking about, I was figured out the way, because in those days you could do it with a VPN, and I could switch the VPN and come up with different prices and all this other stuff for plane tickets, etc. Now, why is this significant? Because, oh, by the way, this MFer who insisted on going to the eclipse, insisted on taking the stupid Tesla, insisting on that we go, then insisting on him leaving on his own. Then, oh, by the way, that one flight, that one ticket that was $1 million, by the way, one way. He's like, you better book it now, because it's not going to. I was like, oh, I beg my pardon. I'm booking this for myself. You're going home. You're leaving me here for an extra 2 days. And now I'm paying for my own $1 million. Okay, whatever. So that's why I was on the quote dark web, learning all my VPN skills, while this clown, we're pretty sure, was banging some $2 hooker in Vegas on the way home, because there had to be some other reason.
That was the stop. That was the stop.
I mean, yeah. So I'm on the dark web, and then now what happens?
Well, we spent 2 fun nights together, but you were sad when you got home. You just didn't understand what even happened. So,
well, because I didn't realize people like this existed on the planet, quite frankly, because in my very sheltered life, which most people have a hard time believing, and I had a very, very, very sheltered life. And in my world, somebody who's supposed to be a gentleman does not abort mission and leave somebody, number one. Number two, they certainly don't leave them and say, hope your credit card works. And then his plan when we got back was like, oh, hi, how you doing? Like when I landed. And I remember like, how am I doing? And at that point I was like, yes, see you next Tuesday. I mean,
then you had a very interesting rebound. I don't remember how you met him, but he was the CIA.
Oh, Lord have mercy. Was that right after that?
I think it was. Yeah, it was.
Oh God, that he's the Black Ops.
Black Ops.
I'm gonna continue to say to him, let's code name him. How about this? We'll add to the notes, Al Qaeda. Okay, so Al Qaeda. I meet Al Qaeda, and oh God,
you were inseparable.
I was inseparable with Al Qaeda, and so supposedly the CIA operative. Here's the challenge to me, though, Shelby, is that And everybody's like, oh, like, like I was catfished or whatever. But what everybody has to understand is that this guy was speaking on stage in New York at a very prominent club event with General McMasters, or whatever the guy's name is. And he's saying basically, as the guy is introduced, oh, hello, Al Qaeda, as he walks up to the stage. So this is not a situation where Al Qaeda was saying he knew General McMasters and really wasn't a 2-star general.
And that would have been a massive staging.
That was a huge gazillion-dollar event. I mean, I still have the brochure. The point is, I think we should do a whole thing on Al Qaeda, because that was a hot mess on its own. I was in London for the Christmas party with the one-eyed MI5 guy. Supposedly he had just met Macron. This is Al Qaeda. And this guy wants to stay under deep cover because he says people are still looking for him. It's a miracle I'm not still looking for him. But yeah, I forgot about that little treasure. The good news is that we were done with Tesla. We all still see Tesla. God bless his cotton socks. And he has married. He really scored with her because she looks like Carolyn Bessette. Yeah. She is amazing. And as I say, he's a little snuggler.
I think he was with Tiny Dancer in between.
We call her Tiny Dancer. Has a habit of going after people I've dated, right? Can we say that to a certain extent? Tiny Dancer went after Sparrow. Tiny Dancer is constantly monitoring her food intake. Now, I'm monitoring my food intake in a different manner. My food intake involves salad and vegetables so I can eat cupcakes and drink vodka. I just sort of know if I load up on salad and vegetables all the time, then I can have a certain amount of cupcakes and vodka. Tiny Dancer, however, is a whole freaking other level, like nothing I've ever seen. Now, Tiny Dancer, she's got the equivalent of the little Ziploc bags. According to Sparrow, when he was dogging her, he would say how she'd have to get up at 8 a.m. or something. And what did she have to do? She had to scramble an egg for him. I mean, one thing I know is that men love protein after 15 minutes. And I don't know about you, but I can't think of anything more romantic than a cluster F of a Tiny Dancer saying, honey, I need my protein pack. I'll be back. Okay, so Tiny Dancer has got that. Tiny Dancer is at Shelby's wedding. And what was she eating? Tapioca?
She was the caterer.
She was the caterer.
At Sparrow's party.
Oh, goodness. I thank you for that. When I originally, when he hadn't started hooking up with her. Oh, no, he kind of had. Anyway, at that point, I was at an event at Sparrow's house, and Sparrow introduced me and said, this is my caterer. But he was banging her at that point. I don't know. But then we can get into the we have another one we should really get into is the retail maven, as we know. Okay, so we can call her, how about if we call her Bunt Cake? Okay, that's close enough. So I'm taking notes here. Bunt Cake was supposedly one of my very good friends at the time. Bunt Cake then meets Sparrow. Bunt Cake is dating Sparrow's best friend, who, bless him, has had an unfortunate accident, been run over by a car. We should start talking about it. Right? That's good. So she's dating his best friend. I'm dating Sparrow. Sparrow introduces me to Tiny Dancer, the caterer, who we find out he's basically been banging. But then he ends up with Bunt Cake for like quite a while. Bunt Cake, I think, is still curious as to why I'm not so friendly. And I'm like, oh my. Okay, well, perhaps put down the bong and, maybe you can figure that out. Let's do a rewind. But anyway, so she breaks the heart of the other one. You're going to have to come up with a name for that one. That's Sparrow's best friend. James, okay? She breaks James's heart. Oh, okay, I just got the connection. Yeah. You guys are going to have to meet us out for cocktails, and we'll tell you why we came up with these names, because James threw me for a minute. Okay, so she's dating the best friend, James, who now has since been in all sorts of motor. He was yelling at a car going too fast on his street, and a bunch of thugs came out and beat him.
Oh, my God.
And then he had to have a neck surgery, and I think he's currently with a walker. That is who we should really interview. But so James, she breaks up with James. She steals my situation, even though kind of I'm like, whatever. Tiny Dancer is somewhere in there. Tiny Dancer worms her way into, now Tiny Dancer is after Tito. Okay, Tito,
Right.
remember, is the text dumper. I, by the way, for the record, did talk to Tito about her. It took me a while. And I said, oh, so I understand Tiny Dancer wormed her way into your life. Is that Snagglepuss?
Yeah. Cameo.
Oh, hi, Snaggler. Say hi.
He hasn't made his way down the hall yet, but I hear him.
Oh, okay. You hear him. Okay. So Tiny, this is putting it all together. This is a great podcast. So Tiny Dancer goes after Tito.
Scared him sober.
Correct. Okay, yeah. He is now sober, by the way. So Tito stands for Tito's. And the reason I'm so obsessed with Tito's is because I saw the head of Tito's in a Wall Street Journal full page ad with his face. And from that point, I started drinking Tito's vodka ever since. Hi, Snagglepuss. Can Snagglepuss come say?
That was Mr. 10.
Mr.
The son.
Ah! Oh, my Lord. The knife salesman, the Cutco knife salesman. Was that him?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay, so Snagglepuss has a son, all right? And this is we should also interview him. Snagglepuss's son has a six-pack like the world has never seen. Okay. And this gentleman, Greg, said, hey, kind of like what parents do, like what old people do. They say, hey, my kid is doing this kind of entrepreneurial experience. Would you do me a favor? And he's selling Cutco knives. And I said, sweet Jesus, anytime.
I think we ended up with 2 sets each.
Yes. So Cutco comes to town and I say, sure, I'll do the thing. And my God, I think he was like 16 at the time. I mean, it would have 100% been statutory rape. And let's not say that I didn't think about it. And so I say, I'll do anything for this kid. And then I basically was like, if I give you an extra 20, will you flash your abs kind of on demand? Like if I'm buzzed and having a bad day. I think he agreed. I bought a lot of knives. That are, by the way, I still use. Thank you, Cutco. I'm not being paid for this, but they are lovely knives.
They are good.
So then, yeah, so Cutco and his abs, we buy that. That goes, so anyway, the tangent is that's who was coming down the hall and that wasn't Daddy. Okay, back to Tiny Dancer, right? So Tiny Dancer is now taken 2 of my boyfriends. Or now there was a third one she took too, right?
Well, there were some.
Are there some I don't know about? That's what scares me. God help me. Well, Tiny Dancer.
We'll put a pin in that.
We'll put a pin in that. Well, yeah, but the other thing is that, by the way, Sparrow he always said he wasn't dating Tiny Dancer. Remember,
right.
She was the caterer. She was this. She never was the girlfriend. But to her, she was saying they were getting married every 10 minutes. Right? Now she turns to you to open the Akashic records. But Tiny Dancer, she still is on some sort of food plan, correct?
I don't know.
We don't. Okay. So she is temporarily, fortunately.
I missed the going away party because I was up with Rooster, but I think people didn't believe me that I was getting Rooster with you because it was so last minute. So I missed the going away party.
There was a going away party for Tiny Dancer. And as far as I was concerned, this was the door can't hit you fast enough. But Tiny Dancer, I manifested Tiny Dancer moving north.
Yeah.
Okay. So she's at least all men are out of harm's way because listen, she continues to prey on the married men of the world. So, and I will just leave that at that. But women, tie up your husbands if you are on the Western Seaboard, okay? So Tiny Dancer, for a while, we're kind of safe from her. She's still on her meal plan. Tessa went night-night. He married Catherine Bassett. Tito's, he's sober.
Enter Juan Dangerous.
And then enter Juan Dangerous. So now this Juan Dangerous thing has been going on and off. He doesn't like when I say that, but it's going on and off for a lot of years, okay? So Juan Dangerous likes to go to Hawaii once a year or whatever. Well, and Juan Dangerous might as well be an only, he's not, but he might as well be an only child. And, as he said to me at one point, I do what I want when I want. So, okay. You can see how far that got him. So he says he's going to one of these trips in Hawaii. He never invites me. Then you can imagine I get to my girlfriends.
Why can't I go?
Yeah, why can't I just go? Like, by the way, not that I was so desperate that he was just going to go to Oahu or whatever is the big island with the outrigger. He's obsessed with the outrigger canoe club. So I was just like, this is really weird. Like, why can't I go? I just didn't understand why I couldn't go. And it's like, I need my time. It's my me time, whatever, which is freaking weird, right? And he also likes to go to the supermarket all the time. So I was like, okay, the me time, it's like, I think does he have a girlfriend at Gelson's?
We
or
totally
what?
thought that he had an outrigger girlfriend.
100%.
Yeah.
So he decides he's going to go on this thing. And he and I have, been at this for a while. And I'm like, F this, man. So he goes off on his trip and he's going to be gone for a week. And I don't even know where he's staying. And all these places are called Haikamana, Hokaloaloa, so I can't even freaking remember where he's supposed to go. And I am furious. Okay. And I say to Shelby, listen, if I pay for you to go, could you go with me to find this guy? I want to see what Juan Dangerous is doing on the beach.
And I was a married woman at that point.
She was a married woman at that point. Her husband at the time. Snagglepuss says, I don't think that's a freaking good idea. In fact, tell us what he said.
Board. He was not on board.
Oh. Well, he said, what did he say about Juan Dangerous was up to?
Oh, yeah. You do not want to do that. You do not want to catch a man by surprise when he's on a trip by himself. That goes back to Martha's Vineyard, why I was so rattled that he was going on this trip over and over and over again. But anyways, you do not want to catch a man off guard or surprise him while he's on a me trip.
So I heard that and I was like, oh, I sure do. So I say, but I got to figure this out. How am I going to do this? Right? Because Juan Dangerous is already left for Hawaii. I haven't even talked to Shelby about going. I finally get her to convince. I didn't realize she almost had to get divorced over it, but she says she'll go. She and I are now boarding the plane. One of my friends I'm talking to.
We had to get a COVID test last minute.
Oh, that's right.
You can get on. So we had to drive all over
to get
Lord COVID Jesus. Test because it was so last minute. And we almost didn't make the cutoff.
Correct. And then we got the thing. And then I remember I was boarding a plane and one of my friends is like, and I was like, oh, I'm on my way to Hawaii. And they were like, what? And I was like, well, so I came up with this thing and because so by now, the night before I was on the phone with Juan Dangerous because I only knew what island he was on. I did not know where he was. So, and everything sounds like, oh, kamena mena, ho, waha, maha. So I try to write it down phonetically. I still have the piece of paper. I write it down phonetically and I am like, okay, we're just going to go figure this out. But I knew that homa, hoena, kana, mea, mea, and I knew the outrigger canoe club. So I was like, okay, so I knew this is a very tan gentleman to start with. So I knew he was going to spend his time rubbing that belly, a Buddha belly at the outrigger at least during the day. So we get there and I say, Shelby, this is going to be the deal. Now remember, this is like COVID. So I say that we are there because Shelby's a realtor and she won a sweepstakes.
Because we had just done some things together.
Yes. And so we had just done a transaction and I said she won a sweepstakes realtor of the year because otherwise Shelby's like, well, what kind of sweepstakes? I said, well, who cares? You can win a sweepstakes. I just gave you the sweepstakes and I'm your client. So there you go. So we fly to Hawaii. We find the hotel. We book a regular hotel as kind of as close as we can, yet not too close in case it doesn't go well. We figure out where the Outrigger Canoe Club is. Remember, that's a private club, though. So Shelby and I am, by the way, you guys maybe can tell or can't tell, but I am white as a ghost on my best day, okay? I am always covered up because of the sun, et cetera, et cetera. So I have a hat on and some big glasses and sort of an avocado-colored bikini, okay? It's very unique shade, to say the least. So Shelby and I figure this place out and we decide the best approach is going to be from the beach, sort of storming the beach at Normandy style. So we approach, we
swim around. Oh, we had to go way out.
We had to go way
break
out
the barrier and then come in.
Right, because we didn't want him to see us and we needed to figure out where he was. So then all of a sudden Shelby goes, now we're in the bushes. And Shelby says, I think that's him. He's hard to, one has white hair. So
he had a book in front.
He had a book. So he had his white hair, a book, and the very bronze belly that you can't miss. And so she's like, I think that's him. So now we go out swimming. By the way, we encounter like 2 sea turtles. So remember, we're Googling symbolism of a sea turtle, while in disguise. I am swimming with my hat just above water because I don't want him to see, because my hair is this reddish color. I didn't want him to have any ideas. So we are now. He
wasn't alone on that beach. There were people right next to him.
Absolutely. And he's just falling. I mean, he's having the time of his life. So Shelby and I go. And now, again, I don't want to get in trouble with Shelby's husband, but you see Shelby in a bikini and that is going to stop traffic. Okay. So Shelby's in a bikini. My little pasty white self is out there in a hat. We start doing water ballet. Yeah. Now we are probably, I don't want to exaggerate. So we're probably 10 yards. We could
hear what he was saying.
We could hear him talking. Yeah. And obviously we're looking at him. There's a girl in a hat with large sunglasses swimming. And then there's Shelby doing water.
I would synchronize swimming. I did it in high school. So I was doing all the movements and.
It is important, again, that we emphasize that Shelby is a real person with a real career. And when we say synchronized swimming, for me, it's a joke. She genuinely has got the feet. She's pulling a tiny dancer move herself, except she's more like a rockette. So Shelby's got the rockette setup going in the water. This goes for a solid 15 minutes. Juan Dangerous peeks behind his book. The reason we have to call him Juan Dangerous is, I don't want anything to do with that podcast. I don't want my name out there. And I'm like, okay, whatever. So we call him Juan Dangerous. So Juan Dangerous is there with his book, The Tummy. He's peeking. We're out there. And now at this point, it's been 15 minutes or whatever. I mean, I'm a decent swimmer. Shelby's a great swimmer. But for me, it's the hat is starting to it's not going in a good direction here. Now I sort of go the direction of more of a drowning situation to attract attention. So we're splashing, we're whatever. This yelping, gulping. Okay, now in Hawaii these seals come up and these seals are all protected, et cetera, et cetera. So people are on the lookout and hear out for, okay.
Everyone was looking at it.
Everybody at the beach was
everyone was looking.
Word, because at this point you'd think somebody would come out, some sort of lifeguard, but I guess who knows? So anyway, Juan is sitting there. I guess the outrigger, beach guards were off duty at the moment, lowering his book.
He definitely saw us, but had no interest in helping.
None whatsoever. Now, which is hilarious because he's gentleman of the hour. Now, according to him. So now, mind you, Shelby literally has the best line of my whole life when she says, "That must be some book," and I was like, "You got it." And then finally, we get out of the water. We're like, we're going to be here all day. And so we get out of the water and we kind of creep along now back. And
we went to go look at paddleboards rental.
Oh, God.
And he was sitting across the way.
Now, remember, we're looking at paddleboard rentals, but we can't enter the club, right? Because I can have reciprocal club membership with that, but I didn't have time to get that. And so I'm just like peeking at the boards at the little desk.
Because we stormed the beach.
With my sopping hat now, because we stormed the beach. We stormed the beach. There I am in the avocado color bikini.
Yeah, he was
giant glasses and the hat.
He was taking note of the bathing suit.
Right, of the bathing suit. And I'm pasty white. I stood out like I was like a UFO landing on that beach. Okay, so then we go to like we're about to paddleboard. I'm sure these people are like, paddleboard, you girls can't even ride a tricycle. So, and then he looks over finally, because now we're close enough. And he's like, Marley? Right. He happened to have bought the bathing suit for me. So, I mean, which was not why I was wearing it, by the way. But so then I was like, Juan Dangerous? I lowered my glasses. It was a nice moment. And he's like, Shelby? Then he's like, what are you doing here? Because remember, I've just talked to him, right? So last time I'm talking to him, he thinks I am in LA. And I said, well, Shelby won this sweepstakes. I said, he's like, so now we're still looking, right, for the girl who's going to show up on the beach. Like, we're still like, where's the chick? Mm-hmm. So I'm still, my guard isn't down. And I'm looking at Shelby like, how's it going? And she's like, he's excited to see you. He's excited. You can tell. Yeah. And I'm like, for real excited? Meanwhile, all the girls are checking in. All of our girls like, oh, my God, did you guys land? They're telling Shelby, don't let her do it. Don't let her do it. Shelby's husband is like, this is a bad idea.
Bad idea.
We're going to have a Sparrow and a Tito. And now we're going to have a, dead Juan Dangerous with this normally goes with me with my relationships. So he was happy to see us. Then it turned into that was all good. He was happy to see us. And
then I never saw you again.
Yeah, then it was all good. You never saw me again. I was in the handicapped room at the King Kamehameha or whatever. Thank God, I think you had some work to do, I hope.
No, I turned into Forrest Gump and I couldn't stop running. I was just running.
Oh, that's right. You were running and running and running. So we all then, that was good. I think from that point, it turned to, I actually got more official status than a girl I'm dating in Pasadena. For so long, I was a quote, a girl I was dating in Pasadena. And then I guess after that, and then he said, well, a lot of people thought that was a very weird stunt. And I'm like, you know what? They can pound sand, then thank you, next. So that was another one of our great adventures, the sweepstakes winner. And we've had many more, but I think we could go on forever, and we still have to tell the story of Rooster, but I think we'll have to do that on another podcast. And we still definitely have to tell the story of the quote ranch in San Ynez, where I said, we're not coming back until I'm in escrow. But that's going to be a podcast for another day. So Shelby, anything to add about this colorful adventure? Any words of warning, words of wisdom?
When's our next trip?
Yo! God, freaking man. I did not even bait her with that. God, thank you, Jesus. Okay. And she's like, oh, I have Thanksgiving hair. I'm like, yeah, I have broken back face. More on that about how I fell off my horse. Okay. So Miss Shelby, tell everybody where they can find you. You have an exciting new project coming down the pike. Tell us about it.
You told me, or you inspired me in January. You said, I think you should expand your real estate business and maybe definitely get your broker's license, which I've been attempting to do. I'd always get too busy for 10 years now. So I have a deadline of December 27th to finish that and take the exam and have that done. You said you should get your contractor's license. So I'm looking into that. And I also, way before I got into real estate, I was focused towards interior design. So I'm going to just encompass the whole thing, and I call it Chateau Blue. And the only reason I came up with that name is I was doing a wallpaper order for another project the other morning, and it prompted me. It said, do you want to name, how do you want to name the business for this order? And I'm like, yeah, I should do that. So I live on Chateau. And now that's
careful with that. I mean, Lord, how many stalkers have how many stalkers have the two of us? Okay, that's it. Snagglepuss, I had nothing to do with that, man. Okay, anyway.
It's called Chateau Blue.
How do you spell?
C-L-U. Chateau. And I like Chateau because it's the soft CH, and my name is the soft CH, even though I get called Shelby it's Shelby.
So it's CHATEAU
BLU without the E.
.com.
Yeah. So it's under construction. It's just an idea and developing. And thanks to you, you were my inspiration.
Well, thank God, because it could also be called Chateau Dog Poo Poo. With the inspiration, sometimes I might have given you. Yeah. So you guys go visit that. Hopefully, by the time this podcast airs, you can put your name and email on Shelby's list so you can find out more. But in the meantime, Shelby, what is your Instagram? Can they find you there?
Yeah, Homegirls, Seashell.
Okay, so spit it out and we'll put it in the notes.
I looked that up.
Okay, well, then why don't you just Google Shelby Crawford and
Seashell Homegirls or Homegirls?
So we'll just put the right one in the notes. And in the meantime, Shelby and I are booking our tickets for the next shenanigans. Men in our life, you better be scared because it always comes up to no good. And Shelby, I would like to thank you for your time. And next time, I think we should start with opening the Akashic Records.
Sure.
Okay. I love that. All right, you guys, thank you for the time.
Basically just a prayer.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for the disclaimer on the Akashic Records, a prayer. And I would like to thank all of you for listening and making it this far. Please subscribe. Please, please. I've got another one that's got to go to college. Please subscribe, follow, 5 stars, comment only if it's good, and check out Shelby. And we will see you next week for Every Day is a Train Wreck. This is your conductor signing off. Goodbye and good luck. I think I should sign off with a whistle. Okay. Bye, everybody.